Welcome to the Holistic Homestead. My name is Erica. It is May. We are in the midst of a beautiful spring. Things are growing, and I'm going to take you on a little maintenance tour of what's growing and what's on my task list for what I need to do. If you're growing food and flowers, this is probably the most important video for you to watch. We are in the depths of spring right now, and it's these times that are critical for tending to your garden so you can have a maintenance-free summer. And the way that that happens is by checking in on your young baby plants now and noticing things and doing things about those things in order for everything to grow prosperously. So I'm going to take you on a tour through my vegetable garden and show you a video on maintenance and what you should be doing right now. Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more health and homesteading content and check out my memberships for more one-on-one support. Thank you so much, Barton, for signing up as a seedling member. I appreciate you and I'm excited for you to be here. Let's dig in. All right, first up is my sugar snap pea bed. And the sugar snap peas are just not growing the way I want them to. I think honestly what's been happening, or what happened, is that I did not sow them early enough and it's been super hot. And so now pests are already coming in. They're really small and I'm not going to hold my breath for these peas. But there's things that we can be doing right now to optimize their growth. The first thing is thinning them. So right now, there's probably 2 plants per seedling spot where I sowed some seeds. And what I need to do is just cut them back at the base. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to find like any super weak looking scrawny guys like this. And actually there's 1, 2, 3 of these growing in this one spot. None of them look great. I'm going to take them all out because sugar snap peas are highly susceptible to powdery mildew and other fungal infections. I want to increase the airflow. If they are super strong looking, then I want to keep them. I want to choose the strongest one. If there are 2 super strong sugar snap peas right next to each other, we should probably keep both of them. Just because they're getting attacked, they're struggling, and we want to maximize our yield. So the first step that I'm doing is going through and getting rid of anything that looks like there's no rebound happening here. Here's an example. In this one spot, I've got 4 plants way too much. I mean, maybe I can take one and like trellis it to this side, but I really need to pick out my second one and decide where it's gonna go. This guy's kind of moving to the third, so actually maybe here I keep this one and I get rid of this one. These are actually not looking so bad, but all of these that are like green and lush and looking pretty strong, these are the keepers. Anything that is kind of weak, turning a little yellow, a little raggedy, we're taking them out. Next up is my tomato bed with my V trellis. These guys are about maybe 1.5 feet tall, and they are getting close to needing support, but not quite. So I think they can get just a little bit taller before we start trellising them. There's a spider web here I'm going to take down. I don't want that to stunt my mess with my tomato plants. And I am assessing what these look like because, for example, like I can bend this one a little bit more straight. That might mean that it is a good idea for me to go ahead and stake it to this branch right here of my trellis. But I think I've got a little bit more time before I do that. So right now my tomatoes are going super strong. They're about 16 inches tall. And they do need to go ahead and get a little bit of support, but we've probably got like another few days before we have to absolutely go in and take care of them. This is a really critical time to look at your tomatoes because if they are indeterminate, meaning They grow indeterminately. They're usually cherry tomatoes. You need to prune them. Most of these tomatoes are determined. These are like my paste tomatoes, maybe some Cherokee purples. They're the large juicy tomatoes, but I don't have to do anything to them just yet. I am paying attention to weeds, however, and I've got all of this beautiful alyssum. But you know, you saw the little grassy? Grasses are the biggest enemy of whatever you are purposely trying to grow, because they are just nitrogen stealers. They really need a lot of nitrogen, and so they're just going to pull that from your plants. And so grasses, we need to pull the grasses. But oftentimes other weeds are not really bothering your plants. For example, here is an awesome sunflower that's in a really random place, but it's going to be beautiful next to this trellis of tomatoes. It is carrot thinning time. And what that means is I need to make space for my carrots to grow to a beautiful size by thinning them. Right now, they're just like a big little bundle, and each little bundle is a carrot. But if they stay together like this, they're not going to grow very much. And so what I have to do is I have to start thinning them. So when I look at this little mass of green, I'm actually kind of digging it apart and finding the biggest carrot first. That's in one solid clump. And I'm separating any other potential carrots just like this, making sure that I'm not going to pull a bunch out. And I find the one that I'm going to thin out, and I press down and then up, straight up. And I get a little baby carrot. These obviously are like too small to be worth anything. Sometimes you can get some bigger ones. We'll do this throughout the season, but this is what's going to allow us to have more space for bigger carrots in the long run. The rabbits will love these. So we want to go through here and start doing it. We don't need to do it vigorously, but we need to do it enough, a little bit, every time we visit the garden. We're just going through. Look at that. There's a slug in here. It's also going to help air out the space a little bit. So I'm just looking for the thickest bundle of stems, and I'm pulling those out. And I'm eventually going to do this until I have about a pinky size amount of space in between each individual carrot. So I don't have to do all of that now. We don't have to thin these to make that much space amongst all of them right now, but we want to start the process of just going in and getting some of the bigger ones. So you're looking down at the bottom. You see there's like a little bundle right there. There's a little baby carrot, baby carrot. Look at this big old thick mass. So I'm kind of detangling them like hair, and I'm finding the biggest one. You see how this one's bigger? Okay, so, and up. Here's another big bundle. So there's a bunch of little bundles. See how these are individual little plant? This one down, up. What can happen when you do this is you can accidentally pull out a bunch of carrots. So you want to do it strategically, and you're just getting these tiny little guys out. And they are edible. All parts of this are edible. All right, boom. This is a sign of snail and slug damage. You know that it is snail or slug because there's individual holes. Caterpillars will eat whole outer edges of leaves. So there are snails or slugs in here. The slimy snail trail. And there's a special remedy for this that we'll do in another video. This is my comfrey patch. Comfrey is an amazing plant to have. One, it's a great feed for animals. It's 15 or 18% protein, high protein that you can give your animals. Great source of food, but there's a bunch of medicinal properties. So the roots were used by the Romans to heal broken bones and sprains. It goes back and has quite an amazing history. This is what it looks like when it grows and is in blooming. It is a major pollinator attractant, but it will set out this huge bush of blooms, and then they'll fall down and new growth will grow from the center. So either before this happens or after, you want to manage your comfrey and cut it back to keep everything nice and airy, and I'm literally just going all the way back to the main plant here. And I'm gonna feed all of this to my goats and my rabbits. You can see once you do this that there's gonna be like decaying matter at the base. And this is one of the many reasons why you wanna be diligent about harvesting it, because you don't want a buildup of decay and mushy yuckiness in here. You're gonna get decomposers like snails, slugs, and roly-polies. And while they're great at decomposing, you don't want a plethora of them in your garden messing with your vegetables. So all of this is gonna go to our animals. It is at this stage that we wanna be identifying our flowers, what are weeds, and taking the weeds out. I think this is some sort of dock. I'll need to get a hand trowel to get that out appropriately. But I don't want to mess with the roots of my flowers, so I'll be very careful about pulling that guy out. This is my tunnel of garlic and tomatoes and pole beans, and I just touched this weird gooey thing. My trellis is actually growing leaves and also oozing. That's a natural healing response, of course, and it's going to eventually result in just this vine dying since there's nothing to root, but this goo would be like the sealant to a wound. This particular one is grapevine. All right, let's dig in. What we've got going on here is we've got beans that we need to thin just like our peas. So for the purpose of airflow and minimizing disease, we need to thin our plants. We also don't want them to compete for nutrients, so let's get to cutting. These are going to be much more satisfying to thin because they're really healthy and strong looking. I'm literally just looking for the strongest looking bean. And so I'm going to go for, like, I've got 2 in each spot. I'm going to go for the one that is least eaten up and then give that one some space. This right here is a caterpillar, you know, because of the outer edges. And the best thing you can do for these organically without using even organic pesticides is literally kind of just digging around the soil surface. This is likely an armyworm or a cutworm, and it's probably just hanging out on the soil surface underneath my mulch. And so I don't try to spend too much time worrying about them, looking for them, but I will move the mulch around just to see if I can find them and give the chickens a nice little treat. So I'm going to go down this whole row and try to pick the best looking bean, foliage, the best looking growth, and remove any extras in its spot. This side. Tomatoes. I'm really excited about the tomatoes growing up here. All right, trellising tomatoes. Here's what's happening. The first thing is that I need to train them. And right now they're kind of just doing their thing on their own. But I am paying attention, like for example, if this is all tucked into the side, I'm kind of helping it train by moving a stem over here. And the other thing with tomatoes in general is I am removing any foliage that is touching the ground. Why? Because of anthracnose. Anthracnose is a fungal infection that reproduces through spores, and everything gets it, like from roses to crepe myrtles to tomatoes, it's everywhere. And if you have contact with the soil, you are more likely to get anthracnose, and it will travel up from the bottom up. So eventually, my tomatoes are going to be naked, like halfway down. But for now, I'm just getting rid of the leaves that are touching the soil. The bean leaves, the tomato leaves are not edible, so they're just going straight into the compost. But I am paying attention, like right here, these garlics are kind of out of control. But like if here's a tomato plant that I just need to gently tuck in and over, and I will use twine as they get bigger to attach them and give them more stability. But for now, I really just want to make sure that they are growing in and around, not growing all the way out. Ideally, they're going to go in, out, and so I'm literally kind of like braiding them into this trellis. See if we can find some more. Here are some more tucking opportunities. I'm I'm gonna tuck them in, and then right now they've got the garlic pushing them forward this way. So eventually I am gonna tuck them probably over that way, or I'm just gonna keep them on this side. I'm gonna see how they grow. But for now, I wanna keep them inside the trellis. As we're walking through this archway, I don't want there to be like a big jungle starting to well, I wanna feel like I'm in a jungle, but I don't want it to encroach my pathway. This is sort of like the little details that you can give your garden so that way you can manage it, get through it. So I am going through and kind of tucking these guys in. If it's too tall, I will not tuck it in, but I can gently tuck them in this way. If it feels like it is resisting and it does not want to tuck where you want to go, get some twine and tie it up, because if you top that thing off, you are taking off the meristem and it's probably not going to grow and produce as much as it would otherwise. So don't force it. This is kind of a nice situation actually. We've got a inside-outside little V split here, and I'm totally going to let this go because this will inherently provide some stability for this plant. I'm also noticing things as I'm in here. I'm noticing the beginning of anthracnose. Hooray! See those little black dots? That's anthracnose. All these little dots could be snails or slugs, but tomatoes are really prone to armyworms at this stage. So we'll keep an eye out for more armyworms. It also means that when I prune that foliage, that I need to sterilize these guys. I need to sterilize them with vinegar or alcohol so I don't spread anthracnose to my plant. All right, this is really exciting. This is my garlic patch. How do you know when to harvest garlic? I'm about to tell you. So it depends on the variety, which I know you probably don't want to hear because maybe you don't remember which variety you got, but it's important because hardnecks produce these beautiful scapes. They're different than the rest of the plant because they're, instead of sort of these like flat lines bent in the middle, they're round and curly and really beautiful. And you want to harvest those because these are the flowers of your garlics. Same thing for onions if you start to see them on your onions. When you cut the flowers, you are redirecting energy instead of the flowers into the roots. In this case, a big, beautiful bulb. So if you want to maximize the size of your onions and garlics, always make sure to remove the flowers before they bloom, ideally. And these are delicious cooked. You can chop them up. They're kind of like an in-between like leek with like an oniony flavor. Chop them up, put them in pastas, salads. They're delicious. So we're going to go through this whole garlic patch and get rid of these scapes. I find it so satisfying. So sometimes they might be small, but sometimes they're big and curly. These scapes are a sign that my garlic is going to be ready to harvest in about 6 to 8 weeks. I will know past that point when it's time because 2/3 of the plant, the majority of the plant, will turn yellow. What if you have a soft neck? You won't have the scapes, but 2/3 of the plant will turn yellow. That's when you want to harvest them. And wouldn't you believe that that's like a fraction of my garden? There's so much more maintenance to be had. I'm going to do it in a separate video and show you different vegetables, how to maintain them. You don't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel for more health and homesteading content, and check out my memberships here on YouTube for more one-on-one support. Thank you so much, Barton, for being a subscriber. I am really pumped to have you here.